Hi everyone, this is Jay with dailytexture.com. This morning I am playing with a photo of my mischievous cat, Peanut. And I wanted to show you guys just how silly she is. This is a phone photo. And this is her. I caught her after coming out of the bathroom stealing my ponytail holder. She is fascinated with taking the ponytail holders out of their container on the bathroom counter and bringing them out into the hallway and playing with them, and then she just leaves them there for me. And I caught her red-handed here, and so I managed to get a photo. It's kind of a straight-on photo, so I thought, hey, that might work well with one of my textures. And I've done these two new collections this month, Baroque Mystica and Baroque Illumina. And this particular one, background is from the Illumina collection, which those are a little lighter. The Mystica ones are more on the darker side. She's a dark colored cat, so she could go either way. But she's on, a light background. So in this case, I decided to go with a lighter background. And this particular one has a flat stone right there, which based on the way she's sitting, I think she could look good on that flat stone. So I'm going to try it. And we'll see how it goes. I do need to kind of position her. But I think I'm going to get rid of the background first with the masking and then play with positioning. So I'm just going to mask around her like so to get rid of this background. I think she'll look a lot better in this background than she will on my carpet in the hallway. And she really doesn't need the ponytail holder. In this piece, we're going to try to turn this into an elegant piece of art featuring Miss Priss, which is what I call her a lot, because she's very prissy. She's very bossy, demanding. Let me zoom in a little bit more so I can get around her edges. Get right up to her fur. Go around those corners of her face. She's over here actually laying on a sofa watching me do this. She knows I'm talking about her. Yeah, she's going to fit real nicely on that rock. And of course I have her layer on top. So if I did want to change to a different background, it'd be pretty easy. Now see how awkward her tail looks at the position she's in? Definitely going to have to reposition her so it looks right on the rock. Okay, that's close enough for now. Now, if I was doing a zoomed in close-up picture, I could use her on the current size she is, but with these rocks being tall, right now she looks a little big. So I'm going to work on rotating her and resizing her a little. So let's resize. And when I resize, I can see my masking mistake there, that I missed a spot. So let's get that out of there. There we go. All right, let's go back to resizing her down. I see another spot I missed over here. So there we go. All right, let's try again. Resize her down to a more normal size. I don't want her to be too small in the scene, and I can always crop in. I don't have to use the scene exactly as it's presented. See if I can set her right there. Of course, that tail looks a little bit funky. Let me zoom in a little now. If I rotate her just a tad, the tail still looks funky. I would have to resize her down. See, that tail was laying on the carpet, so I'd have to resize her down to get the tail on the rock. Alternatively, let me zoom back up. Let's see. Let me zoom out. I still think she needs to be a little smaller on there. Okay. Now get back zoomed in. Alternatively, I can take artistic license and remove the tail, because the tail could be curled the other direction behind her body. I could actually duplicate her layer and just mask out everything except the tail, and I could move the tail over here. Let me try that. I haven't done that in a video before. I do that sometimes. Okay, so I've duplicated her layer, and now I'm going to mask. Turn this off so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to mask everything out except the tail. Okay, so now this layer is now just the tail. So I can move it wherever I want and, of course, correct my mask. So there I got this random tail, and there she is. On the tail layer, I can then decide to move that later. But let me go to her main layer first and mask out this tail. Same tail, but you know what I'm saying. Because the awkward position it's in. Now I could move the other tail down on this side where I want it to go, and then rotate it to where it's laying more flat, and just kind of scoot it around like that. I could flip it, put it on the other side of the body. Let me rotate that the other way. Oh, it's disappearing off the screen. There we go. I could put it on this side, and it actually might look better there, but I'm going to mask out part of it because I put that one little piece is right over her leg. There we go. Let me scoot it just a little to get it look like it's tucked behind her and mask out the part that's over the leg. There we go. And then I can lower the flow on that mask and gently mask away some of that bottom edge to shape the tail a little more. There. Now it looks like it's coming off that side, like she's got it curled the other way. So with the ability to mask, you can take parts and pieces of your subject and in a duplicate layer and move them around. Let's zoom out. Now see, that looks pretty good there. And I can click the tail layer on and off to see where I missed. I see a flash when I click it on and off. Let me pull this up a little closer. When I click the tail layer on and off, there's a flash of something appearing right here. So that needs to be masked away. Let me do it again. It's right in here. There. It's just a little bit of that layer I didn't get rid of. And I just glance around the screen while I turn it on and off to see if anything else is flashing. Alright. I can now merge this layer down with her current layer. No, I can't. Not in this program. Okay, we're just going to go to her first layer. Now, I'm going to brighten her up just a little bit and play with contrast a little. I don't want to do too much. Maybe up her saturation a little. Bring out those warm tones to match the warm tones of the background. Now she actually looks pretty good sitting there, but I do want to check her edges and maybe gently, with a low opacity, gently go around these edges just to feather them in with the background a little more. So it doesn't look like she's cut out and she becomes one with the background a little more. By bringing that background in, by masking away some of the edges of her fur. Everything looks pretty good, really. And I got to remember the tail is on a separate layer. But here's something a lot of people forget. When you're placing a subject onto something else, and there was nothing there before, see, there was no shadow. But when something is sitting there, excuse me, let me have some coffee here. There. When something is sitting there on that rock, there would be a slight shadow. So I'm going to go to the layer of the background from the Illumina collection, and I'm going to go to Burn and Dodge with a low brush size and a low opacity. I'm going to see if I can, that may not be enough. I'm going to see if I can add some shadow. There we go. Because if she's sitting there, there's going to be a slight shadow underneath her. And that may be too much under the tail too. So I can go the other direction and take some of that back away. It's just very subtle, but you can see the shadow now where she would be shadowed. I could even go a little darker on that shadow with a smaller brush. Let's see. Right up close. And it looks like I'm touching her feet, but I'm not. It just looks that way. Now let me zoom back out, and it actually looks like there's a shadow now where she's sitting there. Look how cute she looks in that background. Now I think I want to try to adjust her lighting a little bit. I'm going to duplicate the background layer, and I'm going to reset that shadow mask on it and bring it up to the top. So now I'm going to change layer mode to soft light. And of course that intensifies all the colors and brings some of that floral texture into her. And I don't really want to do that. I may only want to use just this part to adjust her lighting. So I can actually pull this down. Let me zoom back in a little bit. I'm trying to bring some of the color from the texture into her and play with the lighting a little bit. I'm on soft light mode. I could go to color. If the color is full force, it just totally wipes out her colors. And I'm going to go back to, you could go to multiply. That darkens it a little bit. And I'm just looking at the upper part of that texture in the corner of the background. That's what I have positioned over her and the rocks, but I basically just want to use it to mess with her, just to kind of bring some of that color from the background into her and brighten her up a little. So let me zoom back out. If I turn it off and on, you can see the box here where I've moved the texture. So at this point, I'm going to invert the mask to put a mask over the whole texture. And I'm just going to go back to her. I'm still on the background layer, but I'm going to get right here with my masking brush. And I'm just going to mask some of that soft light layer over her, which you could see her starting to brighten. It changes her tones just a little bit. And you can see the shape of her being masked right there. So now if I turn it off, on, you see what that's done? But I'm only using that upper corner of that background to do this with her. Now let me zoom back out. So off, on, off, on. Is it too bright? Is it not bright enough? That's a pretty bright light. I think it needs to be a little bit brighter up here where the light's hitting, but maybe not as bright right there. So let's do about 80%. Zoom in real close here so I can see. Maybe zoom out just a little less, a little too close. This is a phone photo, so it's not the best quality. Alright, so the light's coming from here, so this part of her would be brighter than this part. Let's maybe do about 60%. But I brought some of that back on her right here. Now I'm going to take it back off to darken this part back down, because this part would be in shadow. Like so. Let me turn it. I do a lot of off and on. This part under her face, this side of her face would even be in more shadow. So you can see the light now appearing just up here when I turn it off and on. And then I can adjust that like I want. What about 70%? Let's zoom back out. Oh yeah, that's much better. So just to recap, I duplicated the background layer and I only used this part of it over her using soft light mode to adjust lighting on her. Because this is bright light, so she needs bright light. So with these backgrounds, if you like a certain section of the background for a certain thing you wish to do, you don't have to use the whole background. Just invert the mask when you start, which puts a mask over the whole thing. and then bring the part you want to use back in, which is what I did here. Now she looks so cute sitting there. And I had raised her exposure up a little earlier, and I don't know that I need it that strong, since I've brightened her up using the background. So I may can bring that exposure back down a little. There we go. Doesn't she look so sweet sitting there? Even though she was being mischievous when I took the photo because she was stealing my ponytail holder. Now she looks super cute. And let me merge all of these and just see if there's any weird artifacts that show up on a certain layer that I may need to correct. And I just watch for a flash of something. And there, I saw nothing. So it's all merged beautifully. And now on the merged copy, which I'll duplicate, I can play with saturation. I can play with exposure, which I don't want to. I can warm it up, cool it down. See, change color tones on that merged layer. I could do other things to it, like run it through a paint program at this point to give it a little more artistic look. But I really like the way this looks here. So on this one today, since I'm running short on time, I have a lot to get done today. I think I'm going to leave this right where it's at and call this one done and put her up as an example so you all can see what you can do with your just simple pet photos from around the house. If you got them, you catch them doing something, like I caught her with the ponytail holder, but they give you a good pose on your photo, then you can take that and turn that into a work of art. I never would have thought that I would have done that with that picture that day that I took that picture. But I think it's important to do things with photos of your pets because you never know how long they may be around. And if you don't have the photos and you know, you may regret it later on. So I tend to, even if I don't have my big camera out, my fancy cameras, I tend to just shoot a lot of phone photos. Because I used to be of the opinion, oh, my phone, because my phone doesn't take that great of photos. So I was like, oh, my phone's not that good. I need to get my other camera out. Of course, by the time I do that, she would move. And so now I take more photos because I know I can work with them with things like this. And she doesn't look too bad quality-wise with this particular phone photo. She's a little, I mean, there might be some noise in there that I could have taken out, but one reason I print on canvas a lot is because I don't have to worry about the noise as much, because the canvas, the texture of the canvas will absorb it when it's printed, and it'll actually look more painterly. So I'm going to leave this one as it is and go ahead and save it. And I just thought you guys might want to see something fun you could do with a pet photo from around the house. And I do want to check one thing. There's the tail. There's her. Okay. I saw this little black here, but I guess that's the shadow from the plants. So, I'm going to just leave this alone and go on with my day. And if I get any more great photos of her, I know now that she will look great in these backgrounds from the Baroque, Mystera, or Illumina. This is the Illumina one. And I only chose it because she was on light color carpet. So I thought the light color rock would kind of blend easily with that. And she also had a light background from the carpet, so I thought it would look good with this one. And the rock was in the perfect position. for her to sit on. So Peanut has now been transformed into a beautiful work of art from her mischievous little photo shot with my cell phone in the house. Anyway, I hope you guys have enjoyed this and maybe picked up on a little tip or two in your own photo art editing. Thanks again for watching. You guys have a great day. Be sure to visit the website and see all of the backgrounds that come with these, and sign up for my newsletter when you're there, because I send out valuable coupons to newsletter subscribers, and you get notified of new collections and sales and things like that every week. So you guys have a great day.